Narazil stood at the viewport of the diplomatic vessel Starlight Emissary her 4 slender fingers pressed against the cool glass as she watched the stars blur past. Today was a big day, her first real assignment as a junior researcher for the Galactic Confederation. Her pale blue skin tingled with a mixture of excitement and fear. "Nervous?" asked a voice behind her. Nara turned to see Elder Krill, her supervisor, gliding toward her. The elder Vexillian's skin had faded to a deeper blue with age, and the luminescent spots along her neck pulsed gently. "Yes, Elder," Nara admitted. "This is my first direct contact with a human." Elder Krill nodded slowly. "Understandable. The reports about humans are concerning." Nara had studied all the intelligence reports. Humans were classified as potentially dangerous by the Confederation. They evolved on a planet with high gravity and extreme weather patterns. Their bodies could withstand amazing amounts of damage and still recover. They could run for hours without rest. Most alarming of all, their history was filled with war and violence. "Remember your training," Elder Krill said. "Maintain professional distance. Do not show fear. Humans can sense weakness." "I will make the Confederation proud," Nara promised, though her heart raced. The ship's announcement system chimed softly. "Attention all personnel. The Earth shuttle has docked. Human liaison arriving in Diplomatic Chamber 3. Elder Krill's spots flashed briefly. "It's time. Come along." Nara followed her mentor through the curved hallways of the ship. Other crew members gave her encouraging glances. Everyone knew about her assignment with the human. The diplomatic chamber doors slid open with a gentle hiss. Nara's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as she adjusted to the brighter lighting humans preferred. And there he was. The human stood in the center of the room, talking with the ship's captain. He was taller than Nara had expected, with broad shoulders and a sturdy frame that spoke of the high-gravity world he came from. His skin was a light brown color, and dark hair covered the top of his head. Nara noticed he wore the standard blue Confederation uniform, modified for human physiology. "Ah, here they are now," the captain said, spotting them. "Jack Carter, may I present Elder Krill and junior researcher Narazil. They will be your primary contacts for the Terra Nova expedition." The human named Jack turned and smiled, showing his teeth. Nara fought the urge to step back. On her world, showing teeth was a threat display. "It's a pleasure to meet you both," Jack said, his voice deeper than a Vexillian's. He extended his hand toward Elder Krill. The elder hesitated only briefly before reaching out her own hand. The human gently shook it, then offered the same greeting to Nara. Nara steeled herself and took his hand. It was warm, warmer than a Vexillian's, and his grip was firm but careful. She noticed calluses on his palm. "I'm looking forward to working with you," Jack said to her directly. "This is my first joint mission with the Confederation. I hope we can learn a lot from each other." Nara was surprised by the gentleness in his voice. It didn't match the reports of dangerous creatures ready to attack at any moment. "Yes," she managed to reply. "The biological survey of Terra Nova will benefit greatly from multiple perspectives." Jack's smile grew wider, but somehow less threatening. "Exactly. I've read your previous paper on adaptive plant biology. Your insights on rapid evolution in stress environments were fascinating." Nara's spots glowed with unexpected pleasure. He had read her work. Elder Krill's expression remained neutral. "We depart for Terra Nova in 12 hours. Junior researcher Nara will show you to your quarters and provide the mission briefing materials." "Thank you," Jack said, picking up a small bag at his feet. "Lead the way, Nara." As Nara guided the human through the ship, she found herself stealing glances at him. He walked confidently, but carefully, seemingly aware of his greater mass. When crew members passed, he nodded politely. This was not what she had expected. Where was the dangerous creature she had been warned about? Perhaps, Nara thought, the reports weren't entirely accurate, or perhaps the danger was simply well hidden. Either way, She would find out soon enough on Terra Nova. The research ship landed on Terra Nova 3 days later. Narazil stepped onto the planet's surface, her sample collection kit strapped to her side. The air was thick with moisture, and strange bird-like creatures called in the distance. Giant trees with purple leaves towered above them. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Jack said, coming to stand beside her. Nara nodded. "Yes, very different from my homeworld. Vexel is mostly desert." Jack smiled. "Earth has deserts too, and forests, and oceans, and mountains. I think that's why humans adapt so well to other planets. We're used to variety." Nara watched as Jack easily lifted a heavy equipment case that would have taken 2 Vexillions to carry. The reports weren't wrong about human strength, at least. "We should set up the base camp," she said, trying to sound professional. "Elder Krill wants the first samples collected before sunset." Jack followed her to a clearing where other crew members were already setting up equipment. For the next few hours, they worked together placing sensors around the area. Nara was surprised by how easily Jack followed her instructions, never once trying to take charge as she had feared. "You know a lot about soil testing," Jack commented as they placed the last sensor. "It's my specialty," Nara replied. "Plants tell the story of a planet's history. On Earth, we have a saying, 'The best place to hide a secret is in plain soil.'" Jack grinned. Nara's translator took a moment to process this. "Is that a joke?" "A bad one," Jack admitted. "Sorry. My sense of humor doesn't always translate well." Nara felt her mouth twitching in what humans might call a smile. "We should return to camp." As they walked back, Nara noticed Jack constantly scanning their surroundings. His eyes missed nothing. When a branch cracked nearby, he moved slightly closer to her, his body tensing. It reminded her that despite his friendly manner, he was still classified as potentially dangerous. At the camp, Elder Krill assigned them to catalog samples in the mobile lab. Nara worked quickly, her 4 hands moving between microscope and datapad. Jack was slower but careful, asking questions when he wasn't sure. "Hand me that scanner," Nara said, pointing to a device on a high shelf. Jack reached for it, but as he pulled it down, the shelf broke free from the wall. Equipment came crashing down. Before Nara could react, Jack leaped forward. His body moved with shocking speed as he shielded her from the falling items. A heavy metal container struck his shoulder with a thud. The crash brought others running to the lab. Jack stepped back, rubbing his shoulder. "Are you hurt?" Elder Krill asked Nara. "No. Jack protected me." Elder Krill looked at the human with new interest. That was quick thinking. Jack shrugged. "Just instinct. Sorry about the mess." As they cleaned up, Nara watched Jack carefully. The metal container that hit him would have seriously injured a Vexillion, but he acted like it was nothing. When he thought no one was looking, she saw him wince as he moved his arm. Later that night, as the research team gathered around a light source for the evening meal, Nara found herself sitting next to Jack. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for what you did in the lab." "Anyone would have done the same," he replied. "No," she said, "a Vexillion couldn't have moved that fast. We're not built for sudden actions." Jack looked at her thoughtfully. "Different species, different strengths. You can process complex data faster than any human. I've watched you work." Nara's spots glowed with surprise. She hadn't expected a human to notice or compliment Vexillion abilities. "Tomorrow we explore the northern region," she said, changing the subject. "The terrain is rougher there." "I'm looking forward to it," Jack replied. His eyes caught the light, reflecting it back like a nocturnal predator's. Nara realized that despite her growing comfort with Jack, there was still something deeply alien about him, something that made the back of her neck tingle with an ancient warning. The Confederation reports called humans dangerous, but they failed to mention fascinating. The morning sky of Terra Nova glowed orange as the research team loaded equipment into the shuttle. They were heading to the northern mountains to collect rare mineral samples. Nara checked her safety harness as the shuttle lifted off from the base camp. "First time flying in a small craft?" Jack asked, noticing her nervous movements. "Is it that obvious?" Nara replied. "Only to someone who used to feel the same way." His smile was reassuring. The shuttle rose higher, passing through thick purple clouds. Elder Krill sat in the front with the pilot, a Vexillian named Meal. Two other researchers, Traz and Dune, checked their equipment in the back. Suddenly, the shuttle shuddered. A warning light flashed on the control panel. "What's happening?" Elder Krill asked. Meal's spots flashed with alarm. "Engine malfunction. We're losing power." The shuttle lurched to one side. Equipment slid across the floor. Jack quickly grabbed a handle on the wall to steady himself. "Can we turn back?" Jack asked. Meal shook his head. "Controls not responding properly. I need to find a place to land." The shuttle dropped through the clouds. Below them stretched a dense forest of twisted trees. In the distance, rocky cliffs rose from the landscape. "There," Meal pointed. "Small clearing ahead." The shuttle descended rapidly, too fast for a safe landing. Nara gripped her seat, her four eyes wide with fear. Jack reached across and placed his hand over hers. "Brace for impact," Meal called. The shuttle hit the ground hard. Metal screamed as the craft skidded across the clearing, crashing through small trees before coming to a stop against a large boulder. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. Then smoke began to pour from the control panel. "Everyone out," Jack shouted, unbuckling his harness. Nara felt dazed. Her leg hurt terribly. When she looked down, she saw it was bent at an unnatural angle. Panic rose in her throat. Jack was already helping Traz, who had a cut on his forehead. Elder Krill was checking on Meal, who wasn't moving. "Jack," Nara called, her voice shaking. "I can't move." Jack turned and saw her leg. Without hesitation, he moved to her side. "Your leg is broken," he said calmly. "I'm going to help you, but it will hurt." The smoke was getting thicker. Jack quickly unfastened Nara's harness, then gently lifted her into his arms. She gasped at the pain, but clung to his shoulders as he carried her toward the exit. Outside, Jack placed Nara carefully on soft ground under a tree. "Stay here," he said, then ran back to the shuttle. Nara watched in disbelief as Jack returned to the smoking craft. Moments later, he emerged carrying the unconscious pilot over his shoulder. Traz, Dune, and Elder Krill followed behind him. Just as they reached safety, the shuttle's fuel tank exploded. Everyone ducked as pieces of metal flew through the air. Jack threw himself over Meal's body, protecting the injured pilot from debris. When the explosion subsided, Jack immediately began checking everyone's injuries. "Elder Krill, are you hurt?" he asked. "Minor cuts only," she replied, her voice steady despite her spots pulsing with distress. Jack nodded. "Traz, help me make a splint for Nara's leg. Dune, check our supplies. See what survived the crash." Nara was amazed at how quickly Jack took control of the situation. Gone was the friendly, easygoing human. In his place stood a calm, decisive leader. "You know what to do," she said as Jack returned to her side. "I was a search and rescue specialist on Earth before joining the space program," he explained while examining her leg. "I've dealt with situations like this before." "Will Meal be okay?" Nara asked, looking at the unconscious pilot. "Head injury. He needs medical attention soon." Jack's face was serious. "We all do." Elder Krill approached them. "The communication system was destroyed in the crash. The main ship won't know we're in trouble until we miss our check-in 6 hours from now." "And the emergency beacon?" Jack asked. "Damaged. Dune is trying to repair it." Jack looked at the darkening sky. "Night will come soon. We need shelter, fire, and a plan." Nara felt pain shoot through her leg as Jack carefully splinted it, but stronger than the pain was a growing feeling of trust. Maybe humans were dangerous, as the reports claimed. But right now, that danger was their best hope for survival. Night fell quickly on Terra Nova. The air grew cold as 3 moons rose in the purple sky. Jack had been busy since the crash. He built a shelter using parts of the shuttle and branches from nearby trees. He started a fire using the shuttle's emergency kit. Now he checked on each injured crew member again. "How's the pain?" Jack asked, kneeling beside Nara. "Manageable," she replied, though her spots had dimmed from the strain. Jack handed her a small cup. "Medicine from our supplies. It will help." Nara drank it and watched as Jack moved to check on Meal. The pilot had woken up but was confused and weak. Elder Krill sat beside him, speaking softly. Traz and Dune had gathered the surviving supplies. It wasn't much: some food, water filters, basic tools, and half of the scientific equipment. "The good news," Jack announced to the group, "is that we have enough supplies for about 3 days. The bad news is that the emergency beacon is beyond repair." "What do we do?" Traz asked, his voice shaking. "We survive until they find us," Jack said simply. As the night grew darker, strange sounds came from the forest around them. Howls and screeches echoed through the trees. The Vexillians moved closer to the fire, their spots pulsing with fear. "What are those noises?" Dune whispered. "Local wildlife," Jack replied, adding more wood to the fire. The light and smoke should keep them away. But something was moving at the edge of the clearing. Yellow eyes reflected the firelight. "Jack," Nara called in warning. Jack was already on his feet. He grabbed a long piece of metal from the shuttle debris and held it like a weapon. A creature stepped into the light. It looked like a mix between a wolf and a lizard, with scales and sharp teeth. 2 more appeared behind it. "Stay by the fire," Jack told the others. "They're hunting." The lead creature snarled and moved forward. Jack didn't back away. Instead, he shouted and waved the metal bar. The creature hesitated. "What is he doing?" Nara asked Elder Krill. "I think he's threatening them," Elder Krill replied, sounding amazed. Jack suddenly charged at the creatures, swinging the metal bar and yelling loudly. The creatures scattered back into the darkness. Jack stood at the edge of the clearing for a long minute before returning to the fire. "They'll be back," he said. "I'll take first watch. The rest of you should sleep." "I'll stay awake too," Elder Krill offered. Jack nodded. "Wake me in 4 hours. Then I'll watch until morning." But 4 hours later, when Elder Krill went to wake Jack, she found him already alert, adding wood to the fire. "You didn't sleep," she said. Jack shrugged. "Humans can go without sleep longer than Vexillians. Get some rest. I'll wake everyone at first light." Elder Krill hesitated, then returned to her sleeping spot. Nara wasn't fully asleep. The pain in her leg kept her drifting in and out of consciousness. She watched through half-closed eyes as Jack moved quietly around the camp, checking on each person, adjusting the fire, scanning the darkness beyond. Twice more during the night, the creatures returned. Each time, Jack drove them away. He never showed fear, never seemed tired. By morning, Nara realized Jack hadn't slept at all. As the orange sun rose, Jack was boiling water over the fire. He had collected fruits from nearby trees and was testing them with one of the science tools. "These appear safe to eat," he told the group when everyone was awake. "They'll supplement our rations." Meal looked better this morning, though still weak. Jack checked Nara's splint and gave her more medicine for the pain. "Today I need to find higher ground," Jack said as they ate. "If I can get a good view of the area, I might spot the base camp or find a better location for signaling." "You shouldn't go alone," Elder Krill said. "Someone needs to stay with the injured," Jack replied. "I can manage here," Elder Krill insisted. "Traz should go with you." Jack agreed, though Nara noticed he seemed reluctant to leave the camp. Before he left, he fashioned a simple crutch for Nara from a tree branch. "Try not to put weight on that leg," he told her. I'll be back before dark." As Nara watched Jack and Traz disappear into the forest, she felt strangely worried. Despite knowing that Jack was the most capable of all of them in this wilderness, she didn't like him being out of sight. Hours passed slowly at the camp. Nara tried to help sort through the remaining supplies, but her broken leg made movement difficult. Elder Krill checked on Meal regularly. The pilot was more alert now, but still in no condition to travel. "They should have returned by now," Doom said, looking at the sky. The orange sun was starting to sink lower. Nara felt worry gnaw at her insides. "Perhaps they found something important. Or something found them," Doom muttered. Elder Krill's spots flashed with annoyance. "That kind of talk doesn't help, Doom." Nara tried to stand using the crutch Jack had made for her. Pain shot through her leg, but she managed to balance. "What are you doing?" Elder Krill asked. "I can't just sit here," Nara replied. "I'm going to look for them." "That would be unwise," Elder Krill said firmly. "Your injury." A sound from the forest interrupted her. Everyone turned as Jack emerged from the trees. He was alone, his clothes torn, face scratched and dirty. "Jack," Nara called out. "Where's Traz?" Jack hurried to the camp. "Traz fell. There's a ravine about 2 miles east of here. He's alive but stuck on a ledge. I couldn't reach him alone." "We must help him," Elder Krill said. "I need rope and someone strong enough to help pull him up," Jack explained. "I've marked the trail back to him." "I'll go," Doom volunteered. "Me too," Nara said. Jack looked at her broken leg and shook his head. "You can't climb with that injury." "I can help from level ground," Nara insisted. "And I've studied the terrain maps of this region. I might spot a better way to reach Traz." Jack hesitated, then nodded. "We'll need to move quickly before it gets dark." Elder Krill gathered rope and supplies while Jack drank some water and checked Nara's splint. "This will be hard on your leg," he warned. "I'll manage," Nara replied. Soon, they were making their way through the forest. Jack led, with Doom behind him carrying supplies. Nara followed, moving slowly but steadily with her crutch. The path grew steeper, and Jack often reached back to help Nara over rough patches. "How much further?" Doom asked after an hour of walking. "Not far now," Jack answered. "Listen for Traz calling." As they climbed a small hill, they heard a faint voice. "Help, I'm here." They followed the sound to the edge of a deep ravine. Far below, a river of purple water rushed between rocky walls. Traz was stranded on a narrow ledge about 20 feet down. "Traz," Doom called. "Are you hurt?" "My arm is broken," Traz called back. "And I'm cold." Jack quickly unpacked the rope. "I'll go down and secure the rope around him. Then we pull him up." "That ledge looks unstable," Nara observed. "It might not hold both of you." Jack studied the ravine. "You're right. We need another plan." Nara looked at her map device, which still worked despite the crash. There might be a way down to the river about half a mile south, then back up to that ledge. "Too time-consuming," Jack said, "and the river looks dangerous." As they discussed options, a cracking sound came from the ledge. Traz cried out as it shifted beneath him. "No time left," Jack said. He quickly tied the rope around his waist. "Lower me down just above the ledge. I'll grab him as the ledge gives way." "That's too risky," Nora protested. Jack looked her in the eyes. "Trust me. I've done rescues like this before." Without waiting for further discussion, Jack backed up to the edge of the ravine. Doom held the rope tightly wrapped around a tree trunk. "Ready?" Jack asked. Doom nodded, his spots pulsing with stress. Jack stepped backwards off the edge. Nara gasped as he disappeared from view. The rope went tight as Doom controlled Jack's descent. "Lower, lower," Jack called from below. "Stop. Traz, reach for my hand." Nara and Doom couldn't see what was happening, but they felt the rope suddenly jerk violently. A cry echoed from the ravine, followed by Jack's strained voice. "Pull us up." Now, Dune pulled on the rope with all his strength. Nara dropped her crutch and grabbed the rope too, ignoring the pain shooting through her broken leg. Together they hauled upward. The rope moved slowly. Nara could feel the weight of two bodies straining against their efforts. "Pull," she urged Dune. Her hands burned from the rough rope. With one final effort, they dragged Jack over the edge of the ravine. He held Traz tightly in one arm, the other hand gripping the rope. Both were covered in dirt and scratches. "You did it," Nara breathed, her spots glowing with relief. Jack carefully laid Traz on flat ground. The Vixilian's arm was clearly broken, bent at an unnatural angle just like Nara's leg. His skin had paled to a light blue, and his breathing was shallow. "He's in shock," Jack said, quickly checking Traz's vital signs. "We need to get him warm and back to camp." Jack fashioned a sling for Traz's arm, then helped Nara with her crutch. "Can you walk?" Nara nodded, though standing sent waves of pain through her leg. The splint Jack had made was holding, but barely. "I'll carry Traz," Jack said. "Dune, help Nara." Dune put his arm around Nara's waist to support her weight. Jack lifted Traz onto his back. They began the slow journey back to camp as darkness fell. The forest seemed more threatening at night. Strange calls echoed through the trees. Glowing insects buzzed around them. Jack led the way, somehow finding the path even in the growing darkness. "How can you see?" Dune asked. "Humans have good night vision," Jack replied. "Not as good as some earth animals, but better than Vixilians, I think." They had been walking for nearly an hour when Nara stumbled. Pain shot through her leg as she fell. Dune tried to catch her, but wasn't strong enough. "I need to rest," she said, her voice tight with pain. Jack carefully set Traz down and moved to check Nara's leg. The splint had shifted, and fresh blood stained the bandages. "The wound has reopened," Jack said. "We can't keep going like this." He looked around the dark forest, thinking. Then he made a decision. "We'll make camp here tonight. It's too dangerous to continue in the dark with two serious injuries." Using branches and leaves, Jack built a small shelter. He gathered stones for a fire ring and started a small fire using materials from his pocket. Soon a warm glow lit their temporary camp. "How did you make fire so quickly?" Dune asked. Jack smiled and showed him a small metal object. "Lighter. Never go anywhere without one." As the night grew colder, Jack checked on both injured Vixilians regularly. He gave Traz medicine for pain and rewrapped Nara's leg with clean bandages from his pack. "You should rest too," Nara told him when he knelt beside her for the third time that hour. Jack shook his head. "I'm fine." "You haven't slept in 2 days," she pointed out. "Humans can go longer without sleep than Vixilians." "Not forever," Nara said softly. Jack sat beside her, his back against a tree. "True, but long enough to get everyone back safely." They sat in silence for a while, watching the fire. Dune had fallen asleep, and Traz was unconscious again. "Why did you volunteer for this mission?" Nara asked suddenly. Jack looked surprised by the question. "To learn about new worlds. To meet new species. Why did you?" "To advance my research," Nara replied. "And to prove myself to the Confederation." "Is that why you insisted on coming today, despite your injury?" Nara thought about it. "Partly, but also because I was worried about you and Traz." Jack smiled. "Worried about a dangerous human?" "Yes," Nara admitted, "but not because I feared you, because I—" A loud roar interrupted her. Something large was moving through the forest toward them. Jack was on his feet instantly, positioning himself between the sound and the injured Vixilians. "What is that?" Nara whispered. "I don't know," Jack replied, picking up a burning branch from the fire. "But it's not getting past me." The creature burst into the clearing. A massive beast with 6 legs and razor-sharp teeth. It stood taller than Jack, its yellow eyes fixed on the injured Vixilians. Jack didn't hesitate. He charged at the creature, waving the flaming branch and shouting. The beast roared again and lunged forward. The massive beast charged at Jack. Its huge claws tore through the air as Jack dodged to one side. The flaming branch in his hand left trails of light in the darkness. "Dune, get up," Nara shouted, waking the sleeping Vexillion. Dune jumped to his feet and froze at the sight of the creature. Jack was circling it, keeping its attention away from the injured Vexillions. "The emergency flare," Nara called to Dune. "In Jack's pack." Dune quickly found Jack's backpack and pulled out a red cylinder. "How does it work?" "Twist the top and point it up," Nara instructed, remembering Jack's safety briefing from days ago. Dune twisted the top of the flare. A bright red light shot into the sky, illuminating the forest with an eerie glow. The beast growled, momentarily distracted by the sudden light. Jack used that moment to move closer to the group. "Back away slowly," he told them, "towards those large trees." Dune helped Nara stand while keeping an eye on Traz, who was still unconscious. They began to retreat as Jack had instructed. The beast roared again and lunged at Jack. This time, its claws caught him across the chest. Jack cried out in pain but remained standing. He swung the burning branch at the creature's face, and it backed away, snarling. "Jack," Nara called out, seeing blood spread across his shirt. "Keep going," Jack shouted back. He picked up a heavy stone and threw it at the beast, hitting it directly in the eye. The creature howled in pain and rage. It charged again, faster than before. Jack couldn't move quickly enough. The beast slammed into him, knocking him to the ground. Nara screamed as she saw Jack disappear beneath the massive creature. Without thinking, she grabbed Dune's flare and hobbled forward on her broken leg. "Nara, no," Dune cried out. Ignoring the pain shooting through her leg, Nara approached the beast and thrust the flare toward its face. The bright red light and heat made the creature back away from Jack's motionless body. The beast turned its attention to Nara, who stood her ground despite her terror. Just as it was about to leap at her, a loud humming sound filled the air. Bright lights suddenly shone down from above. The beast looked up, confused by the new threat. A large ship hovered over the clearing, searchlights scanning the ground. The creature growled one last time before retreating into the dark forest. Nara dropped the flare and crawled to Jack's side. His face was pale, and blood soaked his torn shirt. "Jack," she whispered, touching his face. "Please don't die." A rescue team from the Starlight Emissary descended from the ship. They quickly surrounded the injured group. "We received your emergency signal," one of the rescuers told Dune. "Just in time, it seems." Medical staff carefully lifted Jack onto a stretcher. Others attended to Traz and helped Nara onto a hovering medical platform. "Will he live?" Nara asked the doctor examining Jack. "His injuries are severe, but humans are remarkably resilient," the doctor replied. "We'll do everything we can." Aboard the Starlight Emissary Nara refused to leave the medical bay where Jack was being treated. Elder Krill, who had been rescued earlier with meal, sat beside her. "You should rest," Elder Krill said gently. Nara shook her head. "Not until I know he'll be okay." Hours passed. Doctors worked to heal Jack's wounds. Finally, the chief medical officer approached Nara. "He's stable," she announced. "Humans heal differently than us, but he's responding well to treatment." Nara's spots glowed with relief. "Can I see him?" The doctor nodded and led her to Jack's bed. He lay still, his chest rising and falling steadily beneath the bandages. Nara took his hand in hers. "You risked everything to save us," she said softly. Jack's eyes opened slowly. A weak smile formed on his lips when he saw her. "That's what friends do," he whispered. 2 weeks later, Nara stood before the Confederation Council. Her leg was healing well, though she still needed a walking aid. Jack sat nearby, his injuries also healing. "Based on my experiences on Terra Nova," Nara told the council, I recommend changing the classification of humans from potentially dangerous to valuable allies. She looked at Jack as she continued. Yes, humans possess physical capabilities that can make them dangerous, but they use that strength to protect others. Their danger is not a threat, but a shield for those they consider friends. The council voted unanimously to accept her recommendation. After the meeting, Jack found Nara waiting for him in the corridor. "So I'm not dangerous anymore?" he asked with a smile. "Oh, you're still dangerous," Nara replied, her spots glowing warmly. "But now everyone knows you're also a hero."